In the bustling city of Atlanta, Michael Carter felt the weight of his dreams pressing down on him. A 28-year-old barista at a local cafe, he possessed a bright smile and an infectious enthusiasm. Yet behind that veneer lay a deeper struggle. He yearned for financial success but had no clear plan to achieve it. His days were both tedious and chaotic, filled with shifting shifts and the unpredictability of tips, leaving him often counting coins at the end of the night rather than building a future. Michael grew up in a modest household, where the idea of wealth seemed more like a fleeting fairy tale than a tangible reality. His parents worked hard but constantly grappled with financial hardship, instilling a quiet fear in him about money. This experience shaped his mindset toward his own career. While he dreamed of owning a coffee shop one day, he struggled to save even a few dollars each month, often falling into old habits of spending what little he earned on immediate pleasures. Motivated by the desire for a change, Michael began attending free workshops around town that focused on budgeting and strategic thinking. He envisioned his coffee shop, where he would combine his love for brewing with financial savvy. However, he quickly learned that ambition alone wouldn't be enough. Each workshop introduced new insights, reminding him that risks and setbacks would challenge his resolve. But the spark of determination flickered within him, urging him to step beyond his fears and confront the obstacles that lay ahead on his path to success. He knew he had the potential to carve out a better future, but it would require not just dreams, but the grit and strategy to make them a reality. Michael's journey toward financial success began on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. After his shift at the cafe, he sat at a small wooden table, sketching out ideas for his dream coffee shop. The more he wrote, the more he felt overwhelmed by the gap between where he was and where he wanted to be. But deep inside, he knew this was a turning point. With a fresh determination, he began taking small steps to improve his financial situation. He started with a few books borrowed from the local library. Titles like Rich Dad Poor Dad and The Total Money Makeover sparked a light within him. As he read, he made notes in the margins, highlighting ideas about budgeting and saving. The more he learned, the more he recognized his past mistakes with money. He had always thought that saving was impossible, but these authors showed him it was all about choices and discipline. Michael also sought out financial experts online. Each day, he listened to podcasts during his commute to work. Podcasts like The Dave Ramsey Show became his companions, filling his mind with advice and strategies. Michael appreciated how these experts were honest about money struggles, sharing stories of their own failures and triumphs. This honesty reassured him that he was not alone. He reflected on their stories, thinking about how he could apply these lessons to his own life. With newfound knowledge, he decided to create a budget. Michael remembered the little jar where he stored all his spare change. It had always been more of a decorative piece than a financial tool. Inspired, he changed that. That evening, he dumped out the contents on his kitchen table. After counting, he noted down each coin, detailing every cent he could save. Making his first budget felt like an unveiling. He didn't realize he could track his spending and limit unnecessary expenses. Filling in a budgeting worksheet helped him visualize what it meant to manage his money more wisely. Despite his excitement, the path was not easy. His friends often joked about his new habits, questioning if cutting back on outings was really worth it. Whenever they headed out for drinks, Michael hesitated, feeling torn between wanting to join and maintaining his resolve to save. The laughter of his friends echoed in his mind, as did the friendly teasing about his frugality. At times, he found himself rolling his eyes at their comments or laughing along, while internally he wrestled with feelings of self-doubt. It was painful to feel left out, and Michael struggled with the urge to give in. He soon discovered that the hunt for financial knowledge could be paralyzing. With so much information available online, he felt like he was drowning. Each video or article contained various methods for saving, investing, or growing income. Questions loomed, like endless clouds above his head: AMD energy stocks? Real estate? Retirement accounts? With every piece of advice, Michael felt his ambition waver. Was he truly capable of managing his finances, or was he just setting himself up for failure? Yet amid the struggle, it dawned on him that growth often comes from discomfort. He remembered the inspiring stories he read from the experts. Start where you are, one podcast host said. No matter how small the step, keep moving forward. Taking a deep breath, he chose to approach his new life one step at a time. With pencil and paper in hand, he resolved to create a list of must-learn topics rather than trying to absorb everything at once. By focusing on one thing each week, he began managing his learning more efficiently. Each challenge he faced fueled his motivation weeks later when he would head to the cafe, slightly more hopeful than before. Michael was beginning to understand that his journey toward financial success would be about persistence, grit, and a willingness to learn, not just about having all the answers immediately. Even in moments of doubt, he held on to the flickering hope of what his future could become, step by step, one small change at a time. One sunny Saturday, Michael found out about a small community fair being held in a nearby park. As curiosity buzzed in the air, he excitedly made his way there after his morning shift. The fair was vibrant, filled with stalls selling crafts, foods, and local goods. Amid the colorful booths, one particular stand caught his eye. A local entrepreneur was offering freshly roasted coffee beans. A spark ignited in Michael as he imagined his own coffee shop thriving at the heart of the community. With a newfound confidence from his budgeting and reading, Michael felt a thrill of opportunity. Watching the eager customers enjoy the rich aromas, he realized he could start his own small business right away. He approached the stall owner, Amy, who shared her journey of sourcing specialty coffee beans and starting her small stand. This inspired Michael to consider how he could use his passion for coffee, along with what he had learned about budgeting and financial planning. However, as he walked away, excitement tinged with doubt crept back in. The idea of investing his savings in something so new felt risky. He calculated the total savings he had while clutching his wallet tightly. Could he afford to take a chance on starting a coffee stand, even a small one? Diving into his thoughts, Michael felt both ecstatic and terrified. Starting this venture could either elevate him toward his dreams or set him back if it failed. He spent the following days weighing the possible outcomes. Counting measures of possibility and risk, he remembered the advice from his financial podcasts. To succeed, you must learn to take calculated risks, they often said. Inspired, he began brainstorming what the risks were surrounding this opportunity and how he could mitigate them. His first thought was the money he would have to invest. Would it be enough to cover permits, costs for coffee beans, and equipment? Essential resources were necessary, but importantly, Michael could start small. Rather than striving for a large stand immediately, he figured that a compact setup could work perfectly for the fair schedule. Next came identifying what rewards could come from taking this risk. If he could build a customer base from the local fair and generate even a few sales, it might lead to more opportunities. He imagined how a thriving stand could catch attention and draw crowds looking for quality coffee. Most importantly, it would offer him a chance to connect with the community, bringing his passion to life. Yet doubt still flickered across his mind. Would people really choose his coffee? Michael stared at the wall, running through all his potential scenarios, restless thoughts racing as he felt the overwhelming chance of failure in every corner. Imagine scouring expenses and profits only to find he'd lost it all. Was he prepared for that? He recalled the memories of disappointing moments before. Nevertheless, slowly he began narrating more favorable scenarios. The anxiety tethering him to inaction broke with each thought about his passion igniting a spark in others. More determined, he grabbed a notebook and began planning. He sketched out ideas, choosing the right products, determining prices, and even ideas for marketing his stand on social media. The exercise of putting pen to paper eased his flighty doubts. Michael started to feel a sense of renewed strength rise within him. He decided to seek advice once again from the local entrepreneur community he had connected with online. Drawing from their insights made him believe even more that taking chances is part of every successful venture. After many discussions, it became evident that starting small with a clear plan could be a manageable step. As the day of the fair approached, Michael's heart raced with hope and fear alike. Hours before the event, he stood in front of the mirror, struggling to prepare himself for the leap ahead. The risks felt real, but so did the rewards. Deep inside, he knew that taking this first step was crucial, not just for his financial goals but for building the confidence he needed for his future. Embracing both feelings of excitement and fear, Michael was about to step into uncharted territory. As the day of the fair arrived, Michael awoke with butterflies fluttering in his stomach. He had spent weeks preparing, narrowing down his plan for the coffee stand and gathering supplies. With excitement buzzing through his veins, he set up his small table, making sure everything looked just right. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled in the air, and he felt proud of what he created. However, just when he thought it was time to celebrate, chaos erupted. Early on, as customers began to flock to his stand, a sudden windstorm struck. Dark clouds rolled into the sky, catching everyone by surprise, and rain began to pour down in sheets. People swiftly tried to take shelter, and vendors hurriedly attempted to protect their goods. Michael's heart sank as he realized the delicate paper cups were becoming useless in the rain, and the coffee beans he had not covered were soaking. His beautifully set up table, once a proud representation of his hard work, was now a wet, chaotic mess. Realizing the situation was worse than he thought, panic began to creep into his mind. Old doubts rushed back, drowning out the confidence he had felt only an hour before. Maybe this was a bad idea, he thought despairingly. What was I thinking? He recalled moments in his past where everything had felt too uncertain, too risky. Part of him wanted to abandon everything, throw in the towel and just pack up. After all the effort, the hours of meticulous planning, and the money he took from savings, here he was facing an unexpected disaster. Michael's hands trembled with uncertainty, and he wiped the rain escaping the edge of his eyes. With each downpour, he envisioned losing not just his hard work but also the money he had invested. What if he never recovered financially? He could hear the echoes of his friends' laughter, reminding him of all the jokes about his ambitions. Would they think he was foolish for trying? He felt that familiar sense of discouragement from his past behaviors clawing its way back into his mind. Yet, in this moment of tension, Michael paused to gather his thoughts. He took a deep breath and remembered everything he had learned about facing challenges. This is just a bump in the road, he told himself, repeating the words like a mantra. While emotions surged, he had to suppress the panic that threatened to overwhelm him. He knew resilience was about facing fears head-on. Quickly he began to formulate a plan to salvage what was left. Determined, he moved from his table to find a nearby booth for supplies. After a few minutes, he managed to gather rain covers and extra containers to protect his remaining supplies. Though much of his setup had been the most challenging change of fate, he refused to stay defeated. He had come this far, and he would not let a storm dictate his failure. Being driven by an unquenchable desire to succeed, he began thinking of ideas he had never considered before. Rain meant fewer people at the fair, but people still needed coffee. He thought of ways to pivot quickly. He pulled his smartphone out and began sending messages to friends, offering free samples in exchange for sharing their experience on social media. If he attracted buzz online before the sun came out again, maybe more customers would still come. Carefully maneuvering through the storm, he began pouring samples into cups for anyone peeking out from under the cover of their awnings. Quickly, smiles began appearing as the aroma from his stand wafted through the air. Though the rain persisted, people started gathering again, intrigued by the samples. With everyone giggling as they tasted his coffee, a new surge of hope took over. Amid the struggle of holding everything together, Michael felt a flicker of belief inside him. This challenge tested him more than he could have imagined, forcing him to stay disciplined and think strategically under pressure. It was not just about selling coffee, it was about building relationships and creating connections even when everything felt so difficult. If Michael could weather this storm, it could help him shape the road ahead. Clinging to this hope, he kept moving forward amidst the turmoil. As the rain settled into a steady drizzle, Michael found himself standing behind his coffee stand, drenched but resolute. Despite the earlier chaos, people began to gather once more, eager for a warm cup of coffee. But the storm had taken a toll, sales were slow, and Michael could feel the strain on his heart. Each minute felt like an eternity as he evaluated the dwindling energy around him. In the midst of the challenges, the weight of his savings loomed heavy on his mind. He recalled the careful budgeting he had crafted, the dreams he had woven into each column of numbers. The rain-soaked day was already threatening to eat away some of those savings. What if he couldn't recover? Yet, instead of shying away from risk, he felt a pulse of courage growing within. This moment felt pivotal. It beckoned him toward making a choice that could redefine his future. Around him, he glanced at the tapestry of people huddled under awnings, sipping their free samples. Driven by his desire to help others, he thought, what if I turn this into a lesson, rather than a loss? He scratched his chin, his mind buzzing with ideas, but also clouds of worry pressed in on him. Was he truly ready to push forward? The idea rambling in his brain illuminated a path but also ignited his fears. Should he invest part of what little he had left in bulk coffee supplies to keep up the momentum during this fair? Doing so felt risky. If he increased his stock and people didn't buy enough, he might be left with more losses than he could afford. A swirl of thoughts arose. Could taking this gamble be worth it? Or was it just vanity to think he could ride out the storm? Michael's heartbeat quickened as he thought about what failure would feel like. Losing any more money felt like a personal defeat, a return to the same financial despair that had gripped him before. Did he want to go back to scraping by, feeling the hopelessness of his previous choices? But what if this was the turning point he had dreamed of? The drive of recent success had peered through, and he could envision people coming back, ordering more once the clouds cleared. What if their laughter drifted back once more, buoyed by the warmth of his coffee? Pen in hand, he rifled through his notes, desperately searching for answers. He recalled the stories of resilience from the experts he had listened to, the ones that extolled the merits of taking informed risks. They had faced their own obstacles, swinging for success against all odds. If they could do it, didn't he have the same right? Compiling every lesson he'd explored in those weeks of research, he saw clarity in the swirling storm. He needed to invest in future hope, even if it felt scary. Not all storms last forever. Even if he encountered a loss, he could leverage the connections and passion he had built already. Today could represent a jumpstart for something beautiful, a passing cloud bringing life rather than gloom. His decision made, he took a deep breath, resolving to put some of his funds toward bulk coffee supplies. Drawing inspiration from the possibility of the breakthrough ahead, he realized this was a moment of transformation. It might lift him from merely surviving to the threshold of thriving. He would either break the chains of fear tethering him to doubt, or he would let them bind him forever. With renewed purpose, Michael joyfully pulled aside the coffee covers, fully committed. He began shouting offers to the customers as they laughed and chatted, inspiring excitement to embrace the path ahead. Embracing the journey built by discipline and courage, he remembered, deeper than before, the fear of failure could only drown out his dreams if he allowed it. It was as if the clouds shifted in the sky, the light peeking through. Michael had recognized not just a challenge but a chance to rise up. This was his defining moment, bridging what he had learned with the hope of an entrepreneurial endeavor for the future. The day may have started with uncertainty, but it would finish with an unwavering conviction to chase success. With a stronger resolve burning inside him, Michael quickly began implementing his plan. He pushed aside old fears and doubts, deciding to invest a portion of his remaining savings into purchasing coffee supplies in bulk. Leaving the intricate decisions behind, he focused on establishing a strong product showcase rather than getting lost in emotional turmoil. For the first time, clarity broke through the clouds as he reached out to a local supplier to secure high-quality beans at a reduced rate. The moment he placed his order felt electric. Michael felt free, a wave of optimism sweeping away the weight of hesitation that had burdened him for so long. He saw investors' potential of his stand materialize before him, manifesting in sparkling ideas rather than paralyzing disbelief. The lettuces of anti-jitters rustled in his confidence as adrenaline shifted him from doubt to exhilaration. His hard work and dedication were starting to materialize into hopeful results. As the first consignment of fresh coffee beans arrived at his stall, Michael can't help but smile. He gracefully brewed the rich coffee and offered generous samples to passers-by, something he had never dared to do before. The energy shifted, people flocking to his stand again, intrigued and fascinated by the samples he offered. Some customers were local regulars, delighted to see him back with reinvigorated enthusiasm and fresh aromas. The rain had cleared, unveiling the warmth of the sun poking through clouds. More eager customers returned, and Michael's coffee stand became the heartbeat of the fair. He interacted with each person who stopped by, weaving stories about the freshly sourced beans and sharing his passion for coffee brewing. Suddenly, he wasn't just a vendor but a vital part of the community, and this realization filled him with joy. As laughter grew around him, he recognized that this newfound connection brought deeper satisfaction than profit alone. Slowly and steadily, sales began piling up. With each cup handed over, Michael understood more about customers' needs. This wasn't merely about selling coffee, it was about serving people, building rapport, and investing in shared experiences. What began as a fear of financial loss shifted into a meaningful exchange where both he and his customers found value. By the end of the day, once the fair began winding down, his heart raced as he tallied up his earnings. Each successful transaction seemed to echo off the walls of his self-doubt, reminding him of all he was capable of achieving. To his astonishment, not only had he recovered the costs of his supplies, but he had made a healthy profit, enough to continue running his venture for the days to come. The figures danced in his mind, but more than that, what swirled around him were deep, unwavering lessons. In those moments of action, he felt his prior mindset unravel. Michael no longer defined success merely by monetary gain. He realized that true success lay in the serving, the learning, and the willing decisions taken even through fear. The biggest return came from pushing boundaries, taking measured risks, and stepping out of his comfort zone. Looking back, he understood that every moment of doubt had built up his resilience, propelling him forward. The old habits of overspending and feeling helpless were replaced at last with a sense of responsibility and adventure. Michael stepped into unknown waters with bravery, defying the limitations once put upon him. Exhilarated by the day's events, he cleaned his space while reflecting deeper. He saw how facing those crossroads formed a path that framed not just financial understanding, but filtered through thoughtful decision-making, fuels that would lead him into a future full of promise. In embracing both risk and tactics grounded in strategic thinking, he transformed not only his financial journey but nurtured a newfound relationship with himself and those around him. As he walked home that evening under the glow of twinkling lights, it felt as though he was not just carrying a bag of coffee beans but the potential for a lifetime of growth and success. As the days passed after the fair, Michael felt invigorated by the energy of his success. The coffee stand had transformed from just a dream into something tangible, something real that he had built with determination and hard work. Reflecting on everything that had unfolded, he recognized that these early victories were just the first steps toward creating a solid financial foundation for himself. In the days that followed, he took a systematic approach to build on his newfound confidence. Rather than letting the profit sit idle, Michael decided to reinvest in his venture. He created a budget specifically for his coffee stand, clearly outlining costs for supplies, marketing efforts, and any extra expenses that might arise. For the first time, he viewed his income as a resource to grow rather than something to spend immediately. He started saving a percentage of every sale, deciding this would become his safety net. Michael also began to refine his strategies to expand his customer base. He dedicated time to creating an online presence, sharing engaging photographs of his coffee and the brewing process on social media platforms. With each post, he felt connected to a larger community of coffee lovers. He engagingly told the story of his journey, how he had learned to overcome challenges, refined his skills, and nurtured a dream. This not only drew in new customers but also forged bonds with those who wanted to cheer him on. Every evening, after cleaning his stand, he took time to reflect on the lessons he had learned. Each challenge that had once felt overwhelming, like the rain and the storm, now stood before him as stepping stones. The discomforts partially guided him towards smarter decision-making and a clearer vision for the future. He formed an essential new mantra, repeating to himself, "Success is built through persistence and effective choices." Equipped with that mindset, he felt ready to confront new adventures, yet, it wasn't all easy. As he faced new challenges, occasional stumbles served as critical reminders of his previous mindset. There were days when sales wouldn't meet his expectations, or customers might be unhappy with service. Despite disadvantageous moments, he reminded himself that every setback could lead to significant growth. Michael learned to analyze every issue logically, asking how he could improve. With access to more resources and a clearer view, he became even more attentive. The months rolled by, and with each cup served, he witnessed a change in himself, deepening his understanding of wealth and success. It was no longer just about the money, it was about enjoying the journey and connecting with people. His defined work ethic had become part of who he was, rooted in the values of discipline and respect for hard-earned money. Instead of fearing failure, he grew to seek out new opportunities, striving to enhance every aspect of his business. During quiet moments standing behind his coffee stand, he often thought about how his perspective had shifted. Wealth now seemed less about the accumulation of money but rather about the valuable connections made along the way. Success felt like a journey rather than a destination, each day writing a new chapter in his narrative. As warmth lined his heart, he praised the hurdles he had once dreaded that enabled his metamorphosis. This transformation extended beyond his work. Michael noticed a difference in his personal life too. Curiosity flourished, and he developed a deeper desire to learn. He completed online courses in marketing and small business management, feeding the ambitions he had ignited. Embracing knowledge became his new currency, and it brought with it a refreshing antidote to past fears. Each morning, he'd head to his stand focused and inspired, armed with purpose and an unwavering commitment to growth. By maintaining gratitude for his journey, he felt firmly anchored, ready to take on whatever would come next and embrace everything this new chapter had to offer. One day, as Michael was setting up his coffee stand for another bustling morning, he noticed a flyer for a small business competition taking place in his community. The competition encouraged local entrepreneurs to pitch their unique business ideas in front of a panel of judges, with the chance to win a cash prize and mentorship. The excitement stirred within him, and although the thought sounded daunting, he felt surprisingly confident. Instead of being overwhelmed, he smiled, recognizing this as an opportunity for further growth. In the past, he might have shied away from such a challenge out of fear of failure, but now he saw it as a step toward stretching his capabilities. Drawing from his experience and his understanding of financial principles, Michael decided he would enter the competition. He envisioned his business expansion plan, where he would develop a coffee and community initiative, creating opportunities to bring together various groups for coffee workshops and tastings focusing on the art of brewing. Knowing he had a finite time to prepare, Michael immediately began strategizing. He laid out a clear plan, detailing how he would pitch his idea to demonstrate not only his passion but also the logistical financial strategy behind it. Each day, he worked to refine his approach, a blend of storytelling and solid numbers that showcased potential profitability. He mapped out costs, projected sales, and even estimated ways to draw in new customers. In this process, he felt himself standing taller, equipped with confidence born from practice and experience. Michael went beyond just preparing his pitch, he sought guidance as well. Remembering how others had uplifted him along his journey, he offered to mentor a newcomer at the cafe who dreamed of starting a cupcake truck. Michael shared insights on budgeting, customer engagement, and navigating weekly sales strategies. Helping another aspiring entrepreneur filled him with joy and reinforced the lessons he had learned. When competition day arrived, Michael stood before the judges with poise. He spoke clearly and passionately, explaining how the coffee and community initiative could enhance engagement within the local space. He detailed how workshops could promote not only his business but also educational opportunities that benefited others around him. This was a chance for people to dive into something fun while building community ties. It felt more than a pitch, it was about embedding himself in the foundation of something larger. As he spoke, memories of past doubts faded away, replaced with the acknowledgement of how far he had come. When the judges asked difficult questions about profitability and trends, he answered with reliable research, showcasing how his experiences had refined his understanding of customer needs. After the competition wrapped, Michael felt a surge of excitement regardless of the outcome. Every moment preparing and presenting demonstrated profound growth. When the judges announced their decision to award him the top prize, elation washed over him. He realized that he had turned a fear into something magical. He understood the ins and outs of financial principles and recognized that a competent mind could navigate any challenge. Winning the cash prize felt great, but what mattered more was the affirmation of his transformation. This journey was not merely storytelling, it was a symphony of ideas, discipline, and genuine connection. Through perseverance and logical planning, he had faced this final challenge head-on, taking calculated risks that drove results. With the prize in hand, he implemented the initiatives he planned for his business. He put structures in place for workshops, cementing a sustainable income model while engaging with the community in meaningful ways. Michael's heart swelled with satisfaction knowing he was crafting a future filled with possibilities built on financial acumen. The lessons he learned were now a part of him, integrated into daily life. His new habits forged a stronger foundation, deeply rooted in logic and reflection. Welcoming challenges reduced his fears, and the awareness that he could replicate success flourished within his soul, guiding him along each new path ahead. Michael walked through life transformed, ready to rise to any external challenge with confidence, knowing he possessed the tools to succeed and inspire those around him. Months passed since the competition, and Michael found himself on a new horizon. His coffee stand had blossomed into a thriving small business under the banner Coffee and Community. The workshops he envisioned became regular events, drawing in locals from different backgrounds eager to learn about coffee brewing. They connected over shared laughter, stories, and the rich aromas wafting from freshly brewed cups. As community ties grew stronger, so did Michael's confidence in running a business. With each Cocos World Cup served at the stand, Michael noticed how far he had come. Financially, he had built a structure that allowed him to save consistently. He began turning profits not just back into the business but also to invest in learning opportunities. Michael enrolled in courses on entrepreneurship and marketing, eager to sharpen his skills even further. This focused approach injected clarity into his decisions and kept him ahead of potential challenges. Financial independence was not just an idea anymore, it was becoming a reality. It transformed his once scattered thoughts into systematic planning. He studied budgeting strategies thoroughly, knowledge that had deepened through experience. He practiced living below his means while enjoying the essence of what he truly loved most, growing coffee and serving the community. But beyond the financial aspects, Michael's work ethic was stronger than ever. He took pride in every element of his business. From designing a welcoming cafe atmosphere to curating specialty beans, he ensured no detail went unnoticed. Hard work fueled his days as he focused not just on profits but also on creating fulfilling experiences for his customers. Their smiles became the satisfaction he sought, reinforcing the idea that success was less a final destination and more of a rewarding journey. With each passing day spent running the stand, Michael considered what true financial success meant to him. It was more than seeing numbers grow in a bank account. It was about freedom, the freedom to make choices that aligned with his passion, the ability to uplift others in the process, and the opportunity to chase dreams without the heavy weight of past fears holding him back. So often, he linked his own financial growth to how one could inspire change in others. When sourced from genuine intentions and carried out with heart, success flourished like the finest coffee bean. Many newcomers arrived inquiring about setting up their own stands, longing for guidance in pursuing their aspirations just as he once had. He shared his experience eagerly, offering practical tips blended with encouragement to help them flourish as well, recognizing that mentorship cycles only foster greater community resilience. The ethos of contributing positively while maintaining one's goals became a part of Michael's daily mantra. He found immense joy in nurturing those journeys, both his and theirs. Grateful for his fortune, he understood that everyone held the key to unlock their own success: patience, consistency, and a genuine willingness to learn from every twist and turn were essential elements in that formula. Every moment spent at his coffee stand reminded him of the unpredictable rewards that await when stepping outside comfort zones. Other entrepreneurs huddled around him, creating a network of connection, making that risk worth taking. Deep down, he felt gratitude for the challenges faced and the crucial lessons learned along the way because they built a solid foundation for his success. As Michael poured the last cup for the day, he thought about the journey ahead. Financial freedom grew inch by inch, carved from wisdom and experience. While he had a way to go, the road stretched wide before him, filled with possibility. Every decision felt calculated yet exciting, a blend of learning and growth that would guide him toward new dreams. Michael understood perfectly, success wasn't just about reaching a destination, it was about the ongoing journey of seeking, growing, and creating impact at every step of the way. In that realization, crystal clear, lay the essence of true financial success for anyone willing to embrace it.